What's going on, guys? Aiden Smith, Paint Your Path podcast. We got Joel Mercado in the house.
Yep.
What's going on, my man? We're coming off a really cool pod with Eric Barstow, Painting Business Pro, and that was a good one, man.
That was fun. It's always fun having guests.
I love how everybody like that hops on pretty much just opens up, and it's like we don't have to worry about them, feeling like there's any, bad intentions or anything like that. It's really just they hop on once they get going and kind of feel our vibe. It's like, oh, okay, let it rip. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They're like, do we have to prep for this? We're like, no, let's go.
Right. Yeah. And I think that more and more people are appreciating that side of things, right? It's like there's so many guys out there that the personas get put on kind of like, you just want to be real raw in today's society and people can see right through it.
100%.
And I think that's why people appreciate us and what we're doing.
Yeah, man. You got to be authentic, say it how it is. So,
yeah,
it's been good.
Yeah, man. You got a new setup, dude. It looks clean, mighty. I love it.
It's just the camera, which is crazy, right? And then we just moved the angles. Shout out to Jacob, my son, who was like, yeah, just change the settings. Like it was too easy for him. It took him literally 5 minutes. And I've had the camera sitting there for almost a year.
Dude, any like camera technology is just a lot, Yeah. Like I think that one of the things people don't realize too is lighting makes the biggest difference in the world. Get a decent camera and just make sure the lighting is like super crisp. And then you're good to go. That's like half the battle.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, just give me the tips. I'll just do what you say. But yeah, it's been fun though, man. Because like when I turned it on, I was like, what? Like, it's crazy looking.
And also, like we always say, right? Perception is reality. It's like now you can look the part. You can feel like, okay, cool. I'm like looking how I know I, am and can provide and kind of what I'm building. It just works, man. Even for painting companies. One of the first things I tell people is get your marketing right? Get the team photos, get real nice camera footage, right? Like make people believe and let them know that you're the best painting company out there. And this is why,
100%, man. I'll tell you what, though, now that I noticed how clear this camera is, I did an onboarding call with someone. He's like, dude, you're on that Botox game? I was like, no. And he's like, man, you look super young. I'm like, thanks. But now I'm on this camera. I'm like, maybe, I don't know.
That's awesome. Well, you've been putting in the work, bro, too. Like 100 days in a row plus in the gym. That's the only good things for you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So it's almost like you time this.
Yeah.
In a way.
Very true. Very true.
for this call, we're going to be talking about prepping for the winter, right? A lot of people right now are in the storm, in the eye of the storm. It's across the nation, like the busiest time for painting companies to where they got a whole bunch of people wanting to paint and they're not even thinking about winter right now. So we kind of want to slow them down, bring them back to reality and maybe look at like what is there to prepare now to where you're set up for the winter.
Yeah, love that. I think a lot of people, what they're doing is, if you notice too on like group calls, you always look at the trends, right? Like I always know in the summertime, my group calls, they decline. And like you pay attention to those behaviors, it's the same behaviors you're putting into your business. So when I start noticing a drop in people showing up to the calls, it's usually in the summertime. And they usually increase a lot more in the winter. I don't know if you've noticed that for yours, but I did notice that for mine. And what I like to say also is just like always make sure you're paying attention 90 days out at a time. Always have a 90-day forecast. So like for me out here in San Diego, it's a little different because it's pretty much nice all year round. Same thing for you in Florida. But there are still levels of dips, right? And I think a lot of people aren't focusing on changing their marketing right now because whatever you do now, you'll see in 90 days. We're already in August. So if you make a change right now in your marketing, you should start seeing that in November? Right. So I think it's really smart for people to start putting their interior ads out already so that as you start selling those, you're starting to book yourself out in the wintertime. So I think it's important.
In the sunnier side of like, where I'm at with Florida and all that, we actually have the opposite. So right now it's extremely hot. It's rainy season. So it could just start raining at any time. Doesn't matter what the weather forecast says. We've used more latitude now than like we will during any other month. And a lot of people will leave for that reason, right? Because when you walk your dog, it's even too hot to put their paws on the ground. So definitely tough conditions to paint in. So it's kind of the opposite out here, actually. Yeah. But what I tell people is you shouldn't even be worrying about like seasonality per se until you're at a certain like revenue mark. Until you're doing like maybe even like 60, 70, 80,000, you're just looking to get the next job. There's enough work for you out there, you know?
100%.
So, when these guys tell me about seasonality and they're doing like 30, 40,000 a month, and I'm like, guys, you haven't even like scratched the surface on like what's available for you right now in your area. So I don't know. I just feel like people hear it, they hear guys talking about it, and it kind of gets into their head, and then they're overthinking it, and they think it's just like, come on, do what you have to do. Maybe put in a little more legwork, but like if you're only doing those numbers, you shouldn't worry about it at all. Am I wrong?
No, actually, I like that you said that, because sometimes I forget, because like you're right, there is certain levels of revenue and certain levels of like when you should really start being strategic on those certain things. So like if you're doing 30, 40 grand a month, right? Or even, I would say even 30 grand a week at that point too, still.
Right.
At the end of the day, you take what you got and what's out there and just keep riding, right? But I truly believe in creating your seasons, right? So like, I think a lot of people don't do budget forecasting. I think that's an important tool, to do a budget forecast and keep your budgets the same, and then really get to know your market, even no matter how big or small you are. I think that's important. But I do agree with you. I mean, 30, 40 grand, I mean, gosh, there's so much work that you still can fulfill that maybe you're skipping, because like you said, you might be like, what is that, paralysis over analysis or whatever that
exactly
is, except just getting out there and closing deals. Right?
Yeah.
So
spend more on marketing, send more emails, call more people, talk to more people, I just feel like there's so many other levers you can pull to produce rather than just worry about the quote unquote seasonality of things,
Yeah. 100%.
But let's just assume, okay, we do have to take into consideration that there are going to be some tighter months, right? Like I remember when I was in Philadelphia, December was like the holidays. We had stone cold winter, right? You're pretty much not doing any exterior work. And it's like, all right, I can do cabinets, I can do interior stuff, and I can do maybe large commercial jobs, right? Those are kind of my options. How do I prepare for that? Kind of what have you seen that works, and kind of what's your, feedback on that?
Well, I think what's nice is if you're advertising cabinets right now, if you're trying to be strategic, right, then that turns into an upsell for an interior work, right? So if you do specialize in something like that, that'll open up an opportunity for other things that you're looking for as you're doing a walkthrough, versus trying to pre-sell it, right? Get yourself in the door, look around, see what else is needed, and then start asking questions. So I think that's an opportunity. And to be honest with you, we run interior and exterior ads all year round. It doesn't even matter for us. But I've noticed a trend that a lot of people that I coach tend to just go, hey, it's exterior season, so we're just going to promote exteriors. Well, it's like, hey, man, what about those interiors that would have floated you and could have gotten you kept booked out, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't think you should cut that off. I think it should be year round, to be honest.
Yeah.
If you do all three, right? Cabinets, interiors, exteriors. I know some people want to niche down and only focus on certain things. We do it all. So we just run those campaigns here. So it doesn't make a difference for us.
Yeah. And I'm curious too, a lot of more people have been offering epoxy floors. Is that considered like you're able to do it in the winter, or is it too cold for the coating and stuff? Do you have any knowledge on that?
I'm not too much of an expert on that for weather, because again, our weather, we can do that here. If it's like colder months, I would take it'd be difficult to do that, because I know there's moisture readers and stuff like that. We do check our moisture, because of out here where we live. If the moisture isn't at a certain level or whatever, it could really ruin the job. So we have to be really careful with that. But cold, I'm not sure on the temperature. So that's something that I think like anyone that's getting into that, they should really look into that with their sales reps, their product, do the data sheet, and just really hone in on that and get ahead of that.
Yeah, because you need the garage door open. So I'm assuming that the weather plays a factor, unfortunately.
I would think
what
so.
about like when you talk about like pre-booking for the winter? Hey, we definitely want to get this done, but maybe we hold off. Is that something we're giving a discount for?
Yeah, so certain people do things a little bit differently. I have some clients that speak on that. They'll call it like a VIP list. Like, hey, if you do that, we'll give you this certain level of cost up front, and then we'll put you on our VIP waiting list, meaning as we get closer to that season, then we'll start adding you onto the schedule. I do direct certain people, and I just say, hey, why not already put them on the schedule tentatively? Get them locked in if it's November or October, to just start building out your schedule so you can actually see the number. Because I'm really big about knowing, okay, if I'm going to produce 40 grand, let's say, I want to know I'm already booking up that 40 grand for that week. So my
Right.
sales reps are already on like automatic mode. Like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
already booked that one next. Already booked that one next. It's just a good system to have versus just having a list. I feel like you're just almost doing double the work
Mm-hmm.
because then now you have a list. When the time comes, now you have to call them again.
Yeah.
I kind of already want to pre-book them and add them to the schedule so that we have a forecast of like, oh, okay, well, looks like we're already booking in November. We don't really have much in October.
Mm-hmm.
And you have seasons where customers have holidays. They're coming back from certain areas if they're snowbirds is what we call them, right?
Sure.
So there's so many things that you have to deal with at that time. Why add another thing to do, right?
Yeah.
But I've heard of guys say, hey, we'll give you 10% off just to add you to that time frame in that season. It's kind of like a win-win situation, right? That they call it and pretty much pitch it to them like, hey, you help me, I'll help you. So
Yeah, that kind of goes into like the don't over prepare conversation, right? Because it's like you don't want to forego a job that you could use right now and that could help you out in the next few months or like literally the next few weeks
yeah.
because you're trying to book up for that month. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That again might be like, well, you need to work on sales negotiation and kind of like reading the room on what that person actually wants out of this and how to get them across the finish line.
Yeah.
So
well, I love that you say that because if you don't ask, you don't get, right? So like when people hear, oh, well, I'm not going to be ready until the wintertime, some guys will just shut down and be like, oh, there's the objection. I can't move forward. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean that. If you're listening properly, just be like, hey, well, I'd love to offer you this. The prices might change by that time. Products might be a little different or whatever the case may be. Or I might just get too booked out by the time you're ready. Why don't we get you locked in? And I always do like a smaller deposit versus a bigger deposit. So like if guys are doing 50% deposits, then do 10%. Or if they're doing 30%, then just do $100 or whatever it is to just get the dollar commitment, get it signed, put them on your schedule. And that's how I would direct it so that you don't lose the sale.
Yeah. Dude, you know what I've seen too? Guys will literally give away projects, right? And run like a campaign. Like just for instance, right? Let's just say that was the case and I said, okay, to prepare for winter, I want to do like a big promotion, kind of like, hey, we're giving away a free cabinet painting project.
Oh,
Here's the details, right? It'll be done in December or whenever your busiest, whatever that is, your slowest season. I'm sorry, and you say, okay, I'm gonna give away this project. All you have to do is like, follow, whatever that social media train looks like, and then all the people that participate and get in on this have a chance to get a discount for being a part of it, right? So like obviously you can win, but let's just say you don't win, you still have a list of people that you could reach out to and get on the schedule and kind of go through those leads. So I know somebody that does a promo once a year where he gives away an entire cabinet set, right? And what happens is he'll do the painting, but everybody that also kind of got in on that raffle, now he built that list and he'll nurture them and say, hey, because you are a part of it, we're still going to give you 15% off. If you do book an estimate, we'll come out, give you the price, and we can go from there. So it's like a way for you to once, okay, let's just say we make the decision on what would be a great date, like October 1st, right? You're heading into that slow season. Now you start booking from those 300 lists of people and you start going through making those calls. Hey, for being a part of it, you're going to get 15% off exclusive. Thank you so much. And then you start booking October, November, December, and you're just getting leads that were already interested in getting it done. It's a warm lead. And then you can start booking from there.
I might have to do that. That's a good one, man.
That's a play, right?
Love it. That's a good one, man. Like imagine you got like 20 extra leads just off that and half of those close because they're still interested. Man,
yeah. You know what that's
huge.
from too? And part of it comes from what he does, the guy that I work with, but also going to a bunch of events, right? And just seeing what people are doing, how they talk about things, kind of like giving me game. I'm kind of like, oh, snap. That's a great idea. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Dude, people don't realize like if you're too much in your own circle and you're not out there, you're so stuck doing the same thing that you kind of forget about the simple things you can do. And or maybe, I've heard like a mental block. I can hear a mental block already. Someone going, well, I'd have to still pay for that cabinet. What's the difference between you doing that and marketing thousands of dollars to get somewhat of a quality lead
Yeah.
when you know those people are interested. So like, what's the difference, I guess?
Let's do the math right now, right? Let's
Yeah.
just say your average cost of lead, let's just say is $60. I think that's a pretty solid number.
Sure.
Cool.
Yep.
60. Let's say from that campaign, let's say conservatively, you get 250 people interested in a real, cabinet painting job. Times that by 250. What's that? I'm sorry. $60 times, that's like $15K in ad spend, right?
Yeah.
For those leads.
Yeah.
So it's like you're getting that in return, and yeah, you're going to be out $2,000 max, depending on the size and whatnot, to get that. So you nurture that list, you book, I don't know, let's just say out of that, you book 40 appointments, really conservative. You suck at closing, you land at 35%, 14 jobs done, all at $5K a piece, $70K in work for a $2,000 investment, you know?
No-brainer, dude. But isn't that wild? You saw how, I love how you and I think the same with that stuff. It's like immediately I was already looking at what's the excuse already for somebody. And those of you that are listening, like that's the difference. That's the difference that separates people that are just going to make it happen and someone who's going to think about it. And by the time you thought about it, they've already gotten that 70K in jobs because they just said, wow, I just took this free advice off a pod. I did it. And they made 70K just like that. Boom. You know what I mean? And you're still thinking about it.
It's like, and that's what happens when you work with us, though. You get a second brain who thinks in different ways, who has seen it, done it, and has also helped other people do it. And it's like, stop, tripping over the nuances and like, oh, what exactly am I getting? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, we're going to get results. We're going to work. We're going to make it happen. So, we prove ourselves every single time we come on here. It's so funny. I talked to somebody yesterday who I joined the coaching, early on, and he goes, it's been a year since I joined your program, Aiden. Like the mindset change has just been unbelievable. Like I'm talking to a guy trying to get to go to an event in Texas, the PCA residential in Texas. Yeah. And he's like, hey, you were with me at a job. You saw how I was doing it, measuring the rooms and stuff like that. And he's like, oh, you guys measure rooms. Like, oh, okay. I want to learn what you guys do and how you do it. And he's talking to him about it. And then he invites him to an event. And he's like, you saw one of the things I do. Come to this event and you'll learn more. And the guy's like, well, what am I going to learn? And it's just like,
oh, man.
You know what I mean? It's that limiting mindset. It's that it does take months and years to reinforce and to learn like that type of mindset. But I mean, that's the difference, right? Of somebody that's going to be successful and somebody that's in their own
100%. I love that you said that too on there. Dude, I just listened to one of my mentors' podcasts and he was just talking about levels and rooms, right? And it's like, what would you learn in an event? If you can't take one thing out of an event, that is your mindset.
Yeah.
That is your mindset, because I don't care how the event is and what they're selling, what they're doing, what they're teaching. There's at least one nugget you can take away, implement, and it will literally be worth every dollar you spend. I truly believe that. And that's a mindset that needs to be deleted for sure.
Dude, and I'm not even afraid to admit that when I do go to these events, even if I'm a part of them, almost every single time I'm the brokest guy in the room. Bro. Like just to admit that, like candidly. I mean, we're still early on with the coaching, right? Painting business is just getting off the ground and whatnot. So it's like you got guys that have $100 million companies, $50 million companies, like all this kind of stuff. And people say it, oh, I want to be the brokest guy in the room or the least smartest guy in the room. I literally am, which is the funny part. But that's okay, because I got guys around me that I can, instill that confidence in me, learn from them, and, no strings, like no leashes, right? Like I want to go in and just, how can I continue to level up? I don't care where I'm at. I care about where I want to be, right? 100%. Every single year, I want to be a new, like I would crush last year's Aiden,
Yeah. Yeah, I love that.
That's the goal.
Dude, I love that you mentioned that, because I'm so cheap. Like, so cheap. Like, I just negotiated one of our Sherman's receipts came through, and I was like, huh, that looks different. Why did the price look different? And my team's like, Joel, you're tripping. It's always been that. I was like, no. It looks like a $10 difference per gallon right there. And they're like, there's no way. I'm like, you just spent an extra $200. That price is wrong. And my team's like arguing with me. I'm like, dude, like I negotiated it. What happened since the day we negotiated that price to now? I know it sounds crazy, it's $10, but what I saw was 52 weeks in a year.
Yes.
times that by X amount of gallons. I saw thousands of dollars out of my pocket, which is like what I could put back on my team's pockets. The fact that my team's not even thinking that way worried me. I was like, dude, like, I know it's 20 gallons you just ordered and you're thinking I'm losing it for $200. It matters. You know what I mean?
That's going to keep you wealthy though, right? And that's going to be money that doesn't necessarily have an ROI, right? When you're putting money out for events or coaching, mentorship, or even marketing, right? You know there's an ROI coming. When you're just getting taxed every single paint gallon for years on end, I mean, all that money could be shedded off just a little bit or shaved off, and now your team is in better shape. Everybody has more that they can grow off of because the account is better and the numbers are flowing a lot better. So, yeah, there's different ways that you can look at what we're doing, right? And say, okay, we can optimize this. We can get better with this number. Here are a metric I'd rather get to rather than paying out 20% of materials on every single job. Let's dial that in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess that'll go into our next, topic of how to deal with volume, right?
Yeah.
So now that we know kind of how to prepare, have some strategies for that for the winter, what does it look like now when we are in the eye of the storm and shit, man, I got rocked off my boat. I'm not going to hit my goals. It looks like, right? I need to really reconvene with the team and get back on order. Kind of what does that look like for you? And what do you kind of recommend to like your clients?
Yeah. So I'll tell a quick story about it. My most profitable year, when you look at numbers, was during COVID. And that was a lesson for me to learn. Because the year before that, I was like, dude, like, where's the profits? Where's it going? And we were scaling pretty quickly. And I was like, dude, like, we're buying trucks and wrapping and this and that and investing back in the company that I'm just like, dude, I'm just living off the salary right now. Like, I hear all these guys with all this extra money. I don't have that. Right. So what's wrong? And when COVID happened, it really made us look at everything as a magnifying glass. And like I told you, it was when you look at the ratio of profitability, I was my most profitable time that year. And when you fast forward, I remember when we first did our $3 million for the year, our first $3 million mark for gross sales. In that year, what people don't realize, I broke it down, just like we just did the $200 for this order, right? I broke it down. At that time, I think I had like 12 crews. So I'm going to pull out the calculator real quick. Right? I was like, let's just say this is just gallon. And this hopefully will help anyone that has W-2 employees. Because people don't realize, even for every minute that they're late, you're losing production. Or for every minute they're on their cell phones and they're not producing. This is how much I look at the numbers. And I hope this is helpful. So when you look at 52 weeks, right? Because everybody looks at things monthly. Well, let's say you have 12 crews, right? And if you have 12 crews, let's just say they over order by a gallon. This is just going off of 12 jobs, 12 crews.
Right.
Obviously, there's probably more per week, but 12 crews. Let's say they over order by gallon. Let's say your average gallon is $30 a gallon. That's $360 for 1 gallon over ordered. Times that into 52 weeks, your business just lost almost $19,000 off 1 gallon. Off 1 gallon.
Wow.
Now, when you're at that level, you don't see it at first. You don't even feel it. Then at the end of the year, you go, where's all the money? Because when you do a budget forecast, you go, well, we should probably bring in X dollars. But if you're not paying attention on the weekly, that's why I love job costing, right? When you're looking at it on a weekly basis, that's just off 1 gallon per crew. Then let's break it down for 30 minutes, right? Let's say a crew takes an extra 30-minute lunch you guys don't even know about. We'll go off 10 crews. Well, that's 30 minutes. Times that by 10 crews. That's 300 minutes. Okay. Let's do that by, let's go, what is that? 300 minutes per week, 52 weeks. That's 15,600 minutes. Okay. Times that by, let's just say $10. Let's say an average of $20 an hour, right? So how would we break that down? I'm just doing quick math, but let's say it's $100,000 lost. Yeah. Just off that. Plus $19,000. That's just off 30 minutes a day, all your crews, on top of your paint. That's not including any materials. Tape,
sheesh.
Nothing. Right. Your business, if at $3 million, if you're not paying attention.
That could be the difference between yearly bonuses.
100%. Just off of those two things I just broke down. That doesn't include gas. It doesn't include all these extra brushes they're buying that are not needed, or roller naps, or mini rollers, or dude, the list goes on, right? So I'm really big about that. If you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm getting off the rails, what's going on? Where's my money? What's happening? you need to stop what you're doing immediately and look at your numbers, look at your job cost, see what's going on, and really pay attention to your process. If your process isn't dialed in like that, we audit every receipt, we look at every purchase order. My office then puts it on job cost. It has to pass through like 2 to 3 different hands. That is how tight we are about our business. And I learned that the hard way because I was like, man, I don't like this anymore. I'm losing so much money. This was years ago, right? It made it very stressful. So I know you and I have so many clients that have the same issue. They're like, dude, like I'm working all these hours. This is happening. This is happening. That's a game changer when you pay attention to those dollars. It really makes a difference. So
Yeah. And it's, okay, cool. Let's just say the painters are with you and they're loyal. They've been rock stars and they come to you and say, hey, Joel, I'm looking for a raise, and you didn't do all this. And you're like, there's no availability for a raise right now. Maybe reconvene next year. And it's like, now that you have these, numbers tightened up and, we're hitting the metrics that we need to, now there's more wealth to go around, right? Because you took steps ahead of time to set everything up for success. So like, I also talk to guys about, knowing your role in the business. Financials should be at the top of that list,
100%.
right? Because I remember early on, I dealt with this, right? When I first had my painting business, I had all my guy friends working with me. And when I would leave the job, it was like, oh, what's Aiden doing? What's he doing? He's not here with us. He's not grinding. You ain't doing nothing. You just showing up, checking a job. They're not realizing I'm on the back end, crunching numbers, making deals, doing all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like higher income tasks, right? That are required to keep everything else rolling. So I know a lot of guys that are listening to this are in that situation and are making these transitions. And it's like, you need to block the noise out, know what is required of you in your role as the CEO or the director of your company, and get laser focused on those tasks, because they will be thanking you when that raise is a little more than they wanted the last time around.
100%, man. It's I love that you mentioned that, because I think a lot of guys think that they're busy and then they're not putting where they need to be putting it, right? What's their first things first? And I agree with you, because when I ran production in the company, my team would be like, Joel, I can never get a hold of you. I'm like, dude, I'm either on a call making a paint order, or I'm doing something with a Sherwin rep, or trying to just downsize certain things so that I can limit the expenses so I can help my people, right?
Yeah.
And I agree with you. It's the same thing. I don't care what organization says, that the guys will view those things differently, right? But yeah, man, it's a thing to identify, and really identify it quickly so you can bounce back before the end of the year, because it's going to be too late when you go at the end of the year and go, oh, I don't know what happened.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the only thing you can do too is prepare, right? I mean, obviously you need to have meetings with your team. You need to start implementing, all right, systems, right, that we stick by, right? If that means, hey, nobody gets calls after 6 o'clock, right? That's one of the systems you have to put on for everybody's sanity, why it's super busy, right? And you're kind of just gonna have to fight those battles a little bit with more efficiency during the day, right? And be more on it when it comes to communication, setting up other people for success. That's one lever you could pull. Another lever, even getting back to like setting up for this busy time, is getting leaders on your team, right? I have a guy who's doing more than 300K a month, right? And because he hired guys that weren't necessarily leaders, they had a lot of potential. They need a lot of work, but they didn't have the initiative skills. They didn't have the quick thinking, oh, I don't need to reach out to him. I can handle this, and kind of like use all the things with the values and what I know about the company to figure it out. They're constantly leaning on him for things. So he's like, I'm literally doing everything, still paying them their salary or whatever they're owed. And it's like, how can I scale this thing when everybody needs me, right? It's kind of like the managerial thinking. When you're on the tools, you're like, well, I have to do everything anyway. I can't leave these guys. And then when you're at that point where you're doing 300K and you're like, I can't leave my sales team, they need me, or my PM, they need me. How do you set your guys up for success? And I've seen it on the front, with your company, how you guys have meetings and you really work on leadership. But what can you say to other guys that are dealing with like babysitting at these roles?
Yeah, I think they're doing what most people do, right? Which is hey, I need to just get it done right now. And that get it done right now mentality is going to keep you in that vicious loop, right? So for instance, my PM out here, who's been with me for 4 years, 3 years ago, I started teaching him and training him to be a production manager, knowing that fast forward, I would want him in that position to buy back more time. I didn't need him yet at that moment, but I was already training him as if he was going to slide into that position within a month. Even though it took me like 2 years to really put him in that position, I already had that mentality of, hey, if I start training him here that far in advance, when I'm ready to give him that position, first of all, it does a couple things. He buys into your business with your leadership skills. He buys into you as the leader. He buys into the vision. And then when that role's ready, he's going to rock. You can start phasing out. And of course, you want to still be a part of it and watch a little bit, and you'll buy back a lot more time, right? And I think that's what people start to get in this loop of like, well, they're too expensive, or this is going to cost me more time and money. Well, how much more money is it going to cost you, and how much more time it is by not pulling that decision? And I think a lot of people just are so focused on the now that they're not looking at the future. Well, as leaders, we always have to have one eyeball in the future, one eyeball in the present. And I think I'm always pre-coaching.
Yeah.
And I'll say this with everything. My other painting company that I opened in Florida, I coached my second partner for a year straight before I put her in the position. Like, I didn't just open a company and go, okay, these are the right people. No, I coached her for a year, knowing where we're going to open. And I was like, listen, you got to learn all these things. I'm not going to just throw you in the mix and figure it out. You have to learn these things. So having that mentality and carving out the time, you're always buying back time, knowing the future is what that is, right? So that's my best advice I can give is if you already know you want a production manager in a role, find them now. It doesn't mean you put them in the role right now. You start giving them the leadership training now, and then set them up for success so that when you start to phase yourself out, it's an easy transition.
Yeah. No, I love that. And it's amazing advice, and you kind of need that foresight, I think the word would be, right? Of like thinking ahead of time. I think corporate companies are the best example of that. I mean, how many times do you see a corporate company hire a raw individual for a high level role? Doesn't happen.
Doesn't it?
Right?
Ever.
It's like you need to either grow within the company and be one of those guys that are like primed for that role and everybody sees it and it's just kind of like, all right, waiting for the day. Or you need to be like, here's my resume, here's how I do it, here are my results, here's how I can help you. And you go through this rigorous process just to get a chance, and you're put on a probation to see if you'll cut it. But most painting companies don't see themselves as worthy almost, right? They need a guy that they can feel like, okay, I know more than this guy, I can train him up. It's going to be a project, but I will figure it out. That is a wrong mentality.
Yeah.
You need somebody that you can probably pay a little bit more, and yeah, it's a little scary, but guess what? On the back end, he's going to make you so much more money. You're going to have so many more happy clients. The referrals will go crazy, and ultimately you will set up everybody else in the company for success.
Dude, it's funny you say that because like I talked to so many people. They're like, Joel, I don't know what to do now. It's like, good job for you, man. You found the right person. If you have nothing to do, you found the right one. So good for you. Enjoy it.
Right. Don't get too shook about it.
Yeah. It's okay.
That's so funny. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And that goes with like any leadership role, right? Really any team member, right? You want them to see your company and what you do as like an opportunity for them that they have to prove themselves and they feel like will be a good fit. So, I mean, taking hiring very, very seriously is super important. And that's why people pay big bucks to guys like HireBus and all these other staffing and recruitment out there, because it is literally, people are the number one asset any company has. If you can get it right, it's going to be the best thing you guys do.
I love that. I actually have a question for you. You worked technically in corporate, right? Like, what was your experience? Because I think also too, like, I'm still working on this myself, is like onboarding people and the experience of the onboard. Can you tell us a little bit about like how your experience was on certain companies like that versus certain other painting companies, like what that looked like and how we can get some nuggets from you on that? Because I've never had that experience in the painting side. What was your experience onboarding with like a Certa Pro versus a mom and pop, and how did that look like for you?
Yeah, I kind of mimicked their model, to be honest, right? It's what I teach everybody that I work with. So this would be good to go through. Every corporate company has pretty much the same onboarding process, right? The first 2 weeks are very much just get in the position. Let's get all your paperwork done. Let's do all the front end stuff. Meet everybody. We'll take you around, hold your hand, and just show you what we got going on.
Yep.
You're not expected to produce at all. It is straight up, let's get Aiden in here and let's make him know that he made the right decision and get him used to everything. All right.
That's cool.
So you're just lounging for a little bit, and then it's like, okay, another 2 weeks. Let's start feeding you some stuff and see how you handle it. All right, cool. I'm doing my stuff. All right, he's passing all the tests, right? And then it just gradually every 2 weeks ramps up, right? But for me, I saw every opportunity that I went into as the next step up. So I was leveraging other opportunities. So I would get in as like raw salesman, commission only, prove yourself. All right, cool. Here's what I did in my last role. I sold X amount. Okay, here's the next role. A little bit more of a salary. It was kind of like every single jump was a bump up. And then I got to CertaPro, and the good thing is they were a high level organization already doing, probably I think 6-7 million. I keep forgetting the number, but it was like around there. It was between like 6 and 9 million. So they knew what they were doing. They had really all their processes in order. And it was definitely a quicker thing because I went from a subcontractor with them to then the supervisor role with the paint crew, and then into the commercial production manager. So again, I was kind of primed in every aspect of the company. So when they put me in, it was a little bit quicker. And I knew the team already, but yeah, they took it slow again because it was like, even though he knows us and knows how things go, we can't treat him like he's just going to go in and be successful. We have to go through the process no matter what. So that's kind of, what it looks like.
That's huge, man. Cause like a lot of guys, like I know, don't have a process like that. And I think retention's important too. Cause like, notice the subjects we're talking about, retention's key. If you can look and audit your business and see that people are constantly leaving, there is a process issue. Yeah. So it's usually two things, process and leadership, right? Either you have the wrong leader in the wrong spot, or you don't have all the processes dialed in, because you should be retaining, and it should be easier for you to go ahead and start scaling your business from there and not have to stress so much in that.
Yeah. And another thing was, I knew that like if I were to leave, it was a big letdown, right? Whereas some companies, if that person leaves, they're kind of like, we're not too mad at it. You don't want to have that feeling. You want that guy to be there, and you want to feel that if he left, it would be a big, blow to our company. Yeah. And if you don't feel like that about your guys, you're going to have to reassess what's going on in the relationship.
100%.
Across the board.
100%. We couldn't agree more with you, man. Yeah.
And then, like dealing with volume as far as, jobs are coming. Like a lot of guys are even turning away work or turning away sales, right? In order to keep up with everything that's going on. Maybe they just been stressed out with production. Guys haven't been satisfying customers for whatever reason. Maybe the systems weren't super dialed in. Kind of what does that look like where you reset, and have you ever went through that, or what advice would you give?
So if I'm hearing you correctly, are you mentioning like actually stopping doing estimates for a little bit to kind of do a reset almost?
I try to speak from real life situations, not necessarily from me, but from guys that, are in my sphere.
So I'm a strong believer in all of my life of sales. I always sell, and I'll figure out the rest. And the reason why I say that is because think of a train. If a train starts and it stops, think about the momentum it's going to take to build back up, to get the sales back going, to then fill in the funnel, to keep your guys painting again. I just worry that if you stop 100%, then your production will catch up. And then now you're stressing out the front end of your business again. So for me, what that would sound like is a production issue that you're not able to fulfill. And if you're not able to fulfill, then two things tell me: either you don't have a production manager and you're trying to run everything yourself, or you do have a production manager. And if you do, your production manager is not doing a great job. And what do I mean by that? A production manager should be always hiring, no matter what. Doesn't matter how slow, how busy, the program should always be going. There should be a hiring program. And if you don't have that, you should at least have a list of subs to help you overproduce. If you're in a busy season, have them overproduce the extra work while you keep your foundation busy so that you can continue to sell. I personally have never stopped selling. That's just my opinion.
No, I mean, I'm in, right? And I think that was a perfect diagnostic of the situation, right? That's a production issue. It's like you don't want to sell anymore because the jobs you're booked out with your crew, or you don't have another or crew to take the overflow. So, okay, that's where those subs come in. But the PM is the crucial part, right? Yes. So let's just say you have that PM. A lot of people think a production manager is somebody that just watches over the crews. They don't think about the role in management, right? Where you're going ahead and interviewing guys, onboarding them, going through the whole process. Get yourself out of that role. Hire somebody that can handle administrative interviews and all that kind of stuff as well. You know, they don't have to be super customer facing, but somebody that's going to be able to, when you sell, you put them through your machine and they can take it to the finish line. And if you can't have that person to sustain that as you grow, you have to move on from that person. That's just it. And you got to hire them early. Prepare for this, right? Yeah, he's going to run you some money. But once you get 3, 4, 5 crews going, you're going to thank the Lord that you have that guy and that he started when you guys had 2 crews.
Facts, dude. Yeah. That's why I think we should talk like a production series eventually soon. That'd be cool. Because I always go back. I love production. I know it sounds weird because I love sales too, but production is my jam. I love production. And I think once you have a really good production team put together, you're unstoppable, man.
Yeah.
I really, truly believe that. And it becomes easier. And then you can start learning time management and really delegation at that point, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning, there's a lot of grinding, a lot of processes, a lot of teaching, a lot of coaching. And then over time, you can really buy back time and start delegating more because your people already know what you know. It's just more like checking in now at that point. And it's like a well-oiled machine at that point for you.
Yeah, man. I totally agree. Yeah. And as far as like how and when to pull the trigger on the PM, it's funny how it all happens, right? Because, okay, if I get the PM, I anticipate to add more crews to his workload.
Yes.
Okay. So that's number one. If I'm going to add more crews, I need to make more sales. I'm going to make more sales. I got to probably spend more on marketing, right? So not only do I need a bigger budget for my PM, I need a bigger budget for marketing. I need to be more available for sales or have somebody to help me do that. It all kind of works at the same time, right? So you're almost preparing for that moment to happen.
Yeah, it happens automatically. You're almost like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
I need this. And then it all works. It flows together. So yeah, I agree with you.
I just think the most important thing of that is hey, prepare for it.
Yeah.
Right? Manifest it.
Yeah.
Put the X's and O's on the paper, on the whiteboard. I love a whiteboard. I use it all the time.
Same.
And just go through it. All right, this is what it looks like. And then in 3 months, this is what's going to look like. When we pull all those levers, we have to be ready for the increase of everything across the board. Can our systems keep up?
Yes.
Something you'll have to ask yourself. Maybe we can end it on that.
I love that. Proper preparation prevents poor performance.
That'll be our quote for today. What was that again?
Proper preparation prevents poor performance.
There it is, guys.
Yeah.
Get ready. Prepare so you don't have to get overwhelmed with this volume and that you can prepare for the winter as well.
100%.
All right, guys. We'll see you on the next one.
Let's go.
See ya.